morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me this morning on the last of our Trojan bite-sized webinars. Sorry I'm a little late there, but I just had to do well, my laptop forced me to do a little bit of a reboot there just before I started, so I'm a few minutes late coming in, but I think we'll get going. As always, you can ask questions using the panel on the right-hand side of your screen. And don't be afraid to ask questions throughout the webinar. I'll try and get to answer as many of them as I can. So today we are looking at Microsoft Teams. I will go through a quick kind of demo of Teams for you so that you can see it just kind of in the basic forms of it. But if you have any questions that I haven't covered today or anything more that you'd like to see or you'd like to go through, don't be afraid to ask those questions at all, and I'll try and help you out. So at the start of this pandemic, Teams gained 12 million users in 1 week. That was some amount of users to gain in 1 week, and the system is still operating quite well. But I think what that means for a lot of people is that they weren't prepared for working remotely, and then when the pandemic hit, that companies really had to just get their workforce to work from home as quick as possible, and they needed some kind of tool that they could chat and collaborate on as if they were in the office, and Teams was a good fit for a lot of companies. But for the users, it meant that they were using a product that they maybe never used before and got little to no training on it. So that's why today I'm just going to explain really what Teams is and some of the basic points for using it. So Teams is Microsoft's hub for teamwork, basically. So it's where you can chat and you can call people, you can collaborate on files in a live environment. And anyone who's seen Declan's webinars on OneDrive or on SharePoint will see how instantaneous that really is. Excuse me. You can see everyone who's working on a document, and you can see just the content going in a very live environment. So it's a great tool for that kind of thing. So you have a few options within meetings. In Teams, you can use it for meetings, and you can call people. You can use it for chatting and collaborating with users. And then once you get a bit more used to Teams and maybe integrated a bit more within your company, you can integrate apps, you can do kind of automated workflows in it. And there's a lot of additional stuff that you can do with it, like I said, once you get a bit more used to the product. So I'm going to jump into Teams here so you can see what's happening here now. My laptop has just decided to go a bit slow this morning on me. We'll try this again. I think something's starting to load. The joys of doing live events right now. There we go. So this is what your Teams will look like when you come into it. Okay, you have the panel on the left-hand side here, and you have a few different options here. This is your toolbar that you'll navigate throughout Teams with. And then you have a toolbar across the top here as well. So I'm in the online version of this right now because I'm using a demo company. But if you have it in the desktop version, you'll see a very similar layout. The only thing that's probably going to be missing is this little menu option here. And the rest of it should be the exact same for you. So quickly to navigate across the top, you have an option to create new chats. You have a quick command option. I'll go through some of them later for you. But over here on the top right corner, you'll either see a picture that you've uploaded of yourself. I'll just zoom in on that so you can see it. Oh, yeah. So if you have uploaded a picture of yourself, you'll see it here. If not, you'll just see your initials. But once you click on this little option, you get a drop-down list. And this is where you can change your settings. So I would suggest going into your settings option there and decide there's different notifications that you can set. I'll just do this here. Close this. So there's a list of notifications that you can get. So if you're getting maybe too many or too few notifications, you can change them there. Or in the general tab, if you'd like to change the background, if you're finding it a bit hard to see, there's a few different options for the kind of background view that you can have with it as well. So you do go in there and just make it more comfortable for yourself to use, really. But another thing that's here is your status. So again, I'll zoom in. There's a few different statuses that you can set for yourself. So you have your option to be available, busy, do not disturb, be right back, and appear away. So you can manually change your status here if you like, but Teams will automatically do this for you as well. So it is an integrated tool of Microsoft. So if you use, Outlook and you have all your meetings in your Outlook calendar, it'll check all of those meetings and it'll say when you're busy, so when you are already in a meeting, or like when now I'm hosting the webinar and through Teams, it'll have a status automatically comes up, do not disturb, so that no one will try and ring me or message me while I'm in the middle of the webinar. So it just eliminates kind of getting all of these little beeps or little notifications when you're in the middle of something. So it is a good thing to look out for as well when you are using Teams and you're going contacting someone else, another colleague within your company, is to just check the status that they're on. And see here, there's different colors. As you hover over them, they have different meanings as well. So mine's unavailable there at the moment because this is a demo company. And if I hover over, again, I know this can be a bit small to see on the screen, so I'll try and zoom in on it here. If I hover over that little green circle, I can see it says available. If that was, the red circle, it's a busy or maybe in a call or presenting. So there's a few different options, but as you hover over them, they will tell you what they actually mean. So it is just a good kind of etiquette to get used of when you're using Teams, is to just check what status they are in before you start ringing people. Close that down there. Then if I come over here to the left-hand panel here, so you'll see you have your chat, Teams, calendar, calls. You have a few different options here. Excuse me. Excuse me, I'm just going to get a drink. Sorry. So if you just want to call someone one-on-one, maybe instead of using your mobile phone, you can come over here to the left-hand side and you can press calls. And it'll show up if you have any recent calls or if you have any calls you've added to your speed dial or anything, you'll see them here. If you don't see the person you want to call here, you can just click over here on the left-hand side and type in the name of the person that you want to call. So I'll just say I want to call Brian. So I can click on his name there and I can call him. I can use an audio call or I can use a video call. So I'll just use an audio call there for now. And I can see that I'm calling him. And like I said, it's a demo company, so everyone is offline. So I'm just going to cancel that. But that's just a quick to actually call someone one-on-one. And it's just a different option than if you don't want to maybe use your mobile phone, or if you're having trouble with that or something, you can use it this way as well. So you can see the little symbol beside Brian's name says he's offline. You can see that little symbol is beside everyone's name because, like I said, this is a demo company, so everyone's offline. But there does be, as you call people, you will see all of the statuses change, and there'll be reds, greens, and oranges throughout your day. You'll see people's statuses change, so that's where you can check them. Also, if you want to type their name, so I'll just pick up, say, this person here. I can just hover on their name, and this little window pops up for me, and I can see they're offline. So it says it for me there, and I can hover over it here. So it's just a quick way of checking it before you actually make the call. So you see your options here. You can chat, or you can email them, you can video call, you can audio call, whichever you want, but they're your few little options there. So you can add as people to speed dial as well. So you can just click on your button up here and you can add them to speed dial. So just type a name in there. Wherever it comes up, I'll just add Christy. And then Christy appears in my speed dial here. So she'll always be on the top of my screen here. So if there's people that you're ringing all the time, you can add them to your speed dial, and it's just a quick kind of a shortcut for you to get them in there. You can also create your own group if you want to create an individual group. So you can see here if there's a work contacts group, or maybe you're part of a social committee, you could have a social group. Oh, sorry. And press create. So you just click on your new group and then type it and create. So you can see the group has appeared here for me. Now there's no one actually in that group yet. So if I come over here, just run straight along, you'll see there's 3 little dots over here on the right hand side. And I can add contacts to this group. So again, if I just add Edel, she's now added to my group here for my social committee group or whatever it is. So you can create as many groups as you want, and like I say, just save them here on the screen for you for quick access rather than having to go searching for their names all the time. Similarly, if you wanted to have a chat with someone, you could come up here to the chat function and you'll see all of your recent chats that you have going on with people. So this again is more for a one-on-one situation. You can add in multiple people into a chat, maybe for a more informal chat. So it might be just a group chat within your department or something. So you can add multiple people in here, but generally it's probably used for a more of a one-on-one scenario. So if you want to create a new chat that's not in your recent chats here, you can come up to the top of your screen here and you'll see this little pencil. I'll just zoom in on that. There's a little pencil icon here. That icon is on every screen, so it never moves from here. So no matter where you are in Teams, you can start a new chat by clicking on this little icon. Okay. So when I click on that, I can see this new chat has appeared. And I have a new window here with nothing in it. So I need to type in the name of the person who I want to chat to. So I'm going to start chatting to Cameron. So once I click on their name, I can see this chat window has started, but we haven't actually chatted before. So there's no conversation in here. If we have been chatting before, you would see the list of conversations that has been going on previously. Nothing gets deleted, everything is stored there, so you can always go back and check your history. But once you have created this little window, you can come down to the bottom here to this little text box where it says type in your message and just type what you want to say. So I'm just going to say hi. You can add in links to documents that are either on your desktop or are within Teams. You can use, there's emojis, there's GIFs, videos, there's loads of different options here along the bottom that you can use if you want to include them in your message. For now, I'm just going to press send and my message has gone to Cameron. So you'll see this little tick box here. I'll zoom in on it. This little tick means that it has delivered to Cameron. So you might see another little image. Sometimes there's a little dot with a kind of a semicircle over it. That means it has been seen by Cameron. So you know when someone has actually read it as well. And then if I wanted to add someone else into the group, I could just click on this little symbol over here and type their name. So say I wanted to add Deborah. I could add her there. And then I get a new group chat created with myself, Cameron, and Deborah. So you can see over here that this is the group chat and this is the chat with just Cameron. Because more than likely you're probably going to be using the chat function for a one-on-one situation. If you want to create a more formal sessions, if you want to actually create a meeting with a group of people, you can come into your calendar here on the left-hand side. And this is quite similar to Outlook, so you're probably used to this, but you have your calendar here so you can see when you have meetings or when you're free. I'm free all this week, so I can create a meeting for any time. So you have two options here on the right-hand side of your screen. You can meet now, or you can create a new scheduled meeting. So they work very similarly. If I want to meet now, I just click on the button here. I have the option to turn on or off my camera. There's nothing on my camera at the moment because it's a demo company, but I have the option to turn it on or off. I can mute my mic before I go in if I want, and then I just say join now. So the only difference between a scheduled meeting and a meet now meeting is that you're the only person in the meeting when you join. So you need to come up here to the right-hand side of the screen and type the name of the person you want to join. So I want Megan to join this meeting. So I just click on her name and you can see over here it's calling her. Now, because she's offline, it says she's unavailable, but she will actually get a little window popping up here on the right hand side of her screen saying that I'm calling her and I'm asking her to join this meeting with me. Okay, so that's your meet now option. So I'm just going to hang up on that one. And I'm going to come back to my calendar here. And so I'm going to create a new scheduled meeting. Okay, and this is very similar to Outlook. So you can create the name of the meeting. So I'm just going to say test meeting. I can add in anyone I want. So these are all of the people who are in my system. So just one thing to know about this is this system is locked down to an internal system. So there's no external users in this system. So everyone that's going to appear here is people that work within my company. If you wanted to add in a guest, you can do that as well. You can just type in their emails, just type the full email in here and you can add them to the list as well. But for your drop down list here, it's always going to be people that are just within your organization, unless you set it to a public option, which we probably would recommend not to do, but you can have that option if you want. So I'm just going to type Adele there. I can set the date and the time of the meeting that I want. It's very much the same as Outlook. You can repeat, so you can have a recurring meeting. If you want the meeting to happen within a channel, you can have that option. I'll go through channels with you in a minute though. So for now, I'm just going to leave that blank. You can also add a location if you want, so you can add a room. Again, this is probably getting a bit more advanced, probably for quite large companies who have different, like multiple locations, maybe across the globe. You can access different rooms, conference centers and stuff. It's not something that a lot of people will be using. So for now, I'm just going to leave that blank. You can type in any text you want here. If you want to send a message to someone explaining what the meeting is about, whatever, you can just type that in here. And then you just press send. So that looks and feels very similar to what you would be used to in Outlook. You can see my meeting has created here for me. I'm just going to double click on that. So again, I can edit information if I want to here, but the main thing that I can see down here is this link to join the Teams meeting. So that's how everyone's going to join the meeting. They're going to click on this link and they're going to go into the meeting that way. If you're maybe on the road and you want to dial into the meeting using a phone, you can using this number here. You can just dial into it. This is, like I said, it's a demo company, so they're based in the Netherlands. If this was actually, let's say, Trojan, that would be an Irish number. You can look for local numbers as well if you want, but just as a default, this is what appears on the bottom of your meeting request. Okay, you can join your meeting then if you want, just by clicking the button here. Again, you have the same little kind of meeting window here before you actually join the official meeting, which allows you to turn on or off your camera, and then you just click join now. Once I'm in the meeting, I can change my mind. I can turn on my camera, or I can mute myself. This little option here is to share my screen. So I can share my screen if I want. And then this little one gives you more options here. So you can show your device settings. If you want to change your speaker or your microphone, you can change them here. You can show the meeting notes, meeting details. You can enter a full screen. So this is something new that Teams have added recently, that you can make your meeting a full screen, which gets rid of all of these little bits around the side, just to make your screen a bit bigger if you're finding it difficult to see. You can record it. You can turn off incoming videos. What that might be useful for is if your internet might be a bit slow and you're struggling with bandwidth, you can turn off all incoming videos so that it's not taking up a lot of bandwidth for you. I'm just going to close that down by clicking on the three dots again. Then again, excuse me, another new feature that Microsoft have added is this raise your hand feature. So this allows you, if maybe there's a lot of people in a meeting and there's, the organizer has asked everyone to be on mute, you can actually now raise your hand to show that you want to ask a question, or to show that there's an issue or that there's something wrong maybe. So you can have that option here. You can see, if I look over here, I have a chat option, so conversation here, or I have a show participants. So if I show my participants, I can see that someone has their hand raised there. If I click on that again, their hand is lowered, so their hand disappears. So it's a handy little function that the teams have just added in. So this is where I can see the list of everyone that's in the meeting. And then if I go to show conversation, I can have a chat with people as well. And I can actually use the @ symbol to mention one particular person if I want to direct my chat to just one person rather than everyone in the meeting. But it is a public chat, so even though you've referenced one person, everyone else in the meeting can see it as well. So I'm just going to hang up there to end that meeting. And now I'm going to look just at the Teams tab here. So these, all you can see here, all the names listed, these are all my teams. So I have a US sales team, I have a retail team, a sales and marketing team. Within each of these teams, I have a channel. So I'll just zoom in on this here. You can see there's a little drop down arrow here. And once I click on them, little arrows, I can see all of the channels that are within my team. Okay. And as I go down through them, I can see there's loads. They all have different channels in them. So something to remember before you start creating a team is to decide what is the purpose of the team. And should it be a team or should it be a channel? So ideally what we would say is you should have a team for a more long-term scenario. So a project by nature it's a quite a short-term thing and it changes a lot. So ideally you're probably going to have a team up here, we call the US sales team, and then our channel are going to be different, maybe projects that we're working on. So for example, in Trojan, we have a marketing team, and within that marketing team, all our different campaigns are projects, and we create a channel for each of those projects or each of those marketing campaigns. And some of those campaigns last for a week, some of them last for a month or a year. Like this, the Trojan bite-size one, this has lasted for over a month now, and this has its own little channel. And then once we're finished with that campaign, we'll just hide that channel so that we don't see it anymore. It doesn't clutter our view. So I can just come over here, click on my three little arrows here, and I can hide it. And then it no longer clutters my view, but if I ever want to go back to find that channel, I can find it easy enough looking through my hidden channels, and I can show it again if I want. So it's just something to remember that you don't want to clutter up your teams too much by creating loads and loads of teams with the same members in each team. So just before you kind of dive into creating teams, just think about the process and think what the purpose for each team is and whether it can be a team or a channel. One other thing you'll notice about the channels here, you might see this little lock symbol is beside my sales figures channel. That means that it's a private channel. Okay, and that means that only specific members that you allow into that channel can see the content within that channel. Not everyone within the team can see the content in here. Only the people I've added can see the content in here. So it's just a way of keeping things a bit more kind of locked down and a bit more security restrictions on it, depending on who you want to see the content. It's another option that you have. So essentially, Teams acts as a hub for teamwork and for collaboration and chatting. And I think Microsoft's vision for Teams is really that it's going to be one central place where everyone can log in and access all of their other apps that you can use. So if you're, like I said previously, we've gone through OneDrive and SharePoint and Excel and everything else. And you can now come into Teams and you can actually access all of those apps from this one place. So it's like a layer that sits on top of all of Microsoft's other applications. And this will be the one place you'll be able to come in and log in and just access everything from within here without having to go and look for my Excel or go and open my SharePoint and go and look in my OneDrive. You'll be able to access all your documents from this one location. And like I said, this is it's growing all the time. You can see like Microsoft have added just even those 2 new functions in meetings within the last few weeks, and they are continuously updating Teams. I think their vision really is to have this one central hub. And it's like, I think it's eventually the plan is to replace Skype for Business. So anyone who uses that will eventually be moving into Teams full time. Unless you want to go with something else, but yeah, Microsoft want to get rid of that product and move it into a Teams scenario. And I think the plan for it really is to use Teams for an internal communications, so within your company, and to use Outlook for more external communications with people who are outside of your company. Like I said, this is really just to give you a quick demo of the basics of it, because I think a lot of people really got thrown into using Teams without much training. So hopefully this helps a little bit. So I know I ran over there a little bit and I did start late, so sorry about that. But I'm just going to get to some of the questions here. So for the calls, where does it pull the call details from? if the person is in my phone book, will it only recognize the name if they have a Microsoft Teams account? So, okay, if I jump into the call section here, so when I type a name in here and this list of people starts appearing, these are all people that are within my organization. Yes. I can add someone outside of my organization to them. If I want to add a contact in here, I can, but it doesn't automatically sync. So if you have someone, if you're talking about downloading the Teams app onto your phone and having all of the contacts from your phone within the Teams app, it doesn't automatically sync it. You would have to actually enter in new contacts. What it does sync is some people that you might have added to your Outlook contacts. So if you have people in there, it will sync their details across. And you'll find a list of them in here through your contacts. One thing that you won't be able to see is their status because they're outside of your organization, so you won't be able to see that. Then, yeah, so to call them, this is where they are. But for actually just automatically syncing all of the contacts that are in your phone, it doesn't do that. Not yet anyways. Whether Microsoft will bring that out in the future or not, I don't know, but if at the moment it doesn't. So you'd have to actually come into your contacts and add a contact here. And then you can type in their number and you can move on with it. So it's there. So I just have to create a new one and I can add them. I can add their company name, you know, their title, name, phone number. You can add everything there. So I hope that helps explain that one. So can I manage or have access to another person's calendar through Teams? So I think in Outlook, you can share a calendar. And I think Declan is on the line there. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but as I know, no, at the moment you can't share a calendar in the same way that you can share a calendar in Outlook within Teams. Is that right?
No, that's 100% right. Yeah, you can share calendars within Outlook, but you can't at the moment have access to shared calendars in Teams. Well, one thing that you might be available, which might suit if you're talking about scheduling meetings, you can access other people's calendars to see their availability status in the advanced settings in scheduling a meeting, but you can't manage their calendar, unfortunately, at the moment.
Yeah, so you can have your scheduling assistant here and you can see if people, as you add in more people, acquired attendees, you can see their calendars there. I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it, Declan?
Yeah, exactly. You can see whether they have availability. But it only shows the busy available status. That's all. You can't really do anything else in it. So
perfect. Thanks for that one.
no problem.
Then I am set up as a guest in Teams. Is there any way that I can add new contacts? So guest access can be restricted, and it probably depends on how the admin has allowed guests to act within Teams. You have a lot less functionality as a guest as you would as a person within the actual organization. To add contacts, as far as I know, you can't. No, not when you're a guest.
No.
You would have to actually be within that organization. And see. I set up a team a few weeks back. When I send a message, the members of the team do not see it coming up on their screen. They seem to have to look in the Teams to see it in the Teams tab. Yeah, so something that I should actually show you. If you come back, I'm just coming to the Teams here and say I come into my sales and marketing and have my monthly reports here. If I just type a message saying check reports here. So the only way that someone will know that there's a new message within this team or within this channel here is by seeing the bold here. So when there's a bold, general is bold or your channel is bold, that means that there's some new content in there that you haven't seen. But there is a way of notifying people. So if you use the @ symbol and if you type the name of the team, so let's just say sales and marketing, and I now say check reports, everyone within that team will get a notification to say that there is a new comment here and that they need to check it. Or I can actually type one individual person's name and I can say at Alex, check your sales reports. And I can even add a little link into his sales report, so I know that those reports are saved within Teams. So I'm going to say check the Spain ones. So I click over here on Spain and I just say share link. So again, just going through that, there's a little attach option here. Go to browse Teams and channels, and then click on the report or on the document that you want to share a link to. And then because I've used the @ with his name, and you can see if I zoom in here, his name has gone kind of purple compared to the rest of the text that's black. That shows that it's like a link into a person's name. And once I send that, he's now going to get an email notifying him that there's something gone into Teams and that he needs to check this little box here. So that's a way of actually getting people, sending notifications to people that there's content gone in there. Other than that, they just need to check if they see something bold. That means that there's content there they haven't seen. And also in this one, you'll see there's a little kind of alert symbol here. That means that there's something important, something is marked as important in this channel. So if I scroll up, I can see here important. Adele has put in a reminder to everyone, and she's marked this as important for them to check. So that's another thing to look out for. And you can see now, because I've actually seen it and I've checked it, that has gone. So that's no longer there. So another thing to look out for people is if there's these little symbols here, to check there's something they need to look for as well. Okay, hi, and if you invite someone to join a meeting using their email address, does that person need to have Teams to join the meeting? Now, Declan, you might be able to confirm this for me, but I think originally you did, but originally you needed an Office 365 account to be able to join a meeting. But as far as I know, Microsoft have changed that in the last few months, and now anyone can join a Teams meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's correct. Anyone can join a Teams meeting, but it might be worth noting that you have to turn on external guest access or something like that. There's a setting within Teams that we can do from the background for you, so that you can invite external people outside your organization. But yeah, you don't need to have Teams anymore.
Perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
And then how do you save reports in Teams? So there is a few different options. You can upload a file. So if I come into files here, so I'm in my retail, my generals channel here, I come into files, and I have the option within here to actually upload a file or a folder. I can create a new file or a new document, whether Excel or Word or PowerPoint, whatever. I can create a new one from scratch within Teams, which will open up the online version of it. But probably an easy way, and I know I'm running over time here, sorry, so I'm going to try and get through these questions. But if I open up, just I have my Excel document here, I'll just open a blank one. And if I go to File and Save As, you have your option here. So I'll come into my Trojan site, my Trojan hardware SharePoint site. So this is where all of our Teams documents are stored. And if you were listening into Declan last week, you'll know a bit more about SharePoint. But you'll see all of my teams here, and I can just select the team that I want to add that document to. So it's just another way of, probably a quicker way. That's the way that I would use most of the time. I think most of us would probably use most of the time is to create them that way and just save them in to Teams, and then they're there for you. And I think that's all the questions for now. If there is any more questions, don't be afraid to send them in, or if you think of anything afterwards, just send me an email. And between myself and Declan, we'll get back to you with an answer for them. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's the last of this series on the webinar Bite Size. So I hope you enjoyed all of them. I will send out a recording to today's session and a link to all of the previous webinars that we've done in this series, so you can have content of them and can go back and check them whenever you want. Thank you for joining us throughout the whole series. I hope you found it useful. I will be sending out a survey as well to everyone just to get some feedback on it. I'd really appreciate if you just take a few minutes to fill that out and just let us know how we're doing and if there's any way we could improve them going forward. But apart from that, I think that's everything. Sorry for running over and being a bit late to the session this morning, but the joys of live events. Perfect. Well, thanks everyone, and thanks Declan for joining me today.
No problem at all. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.